All right. Hello. Welcome to another patch breakdown. If you're watching this, it means you are one of our Patreon subscribers. So thank you for helping keeping us alive. And, oh, God, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm here with Andy Simmons, a.k.a. Aurick Leere, also half of Fathom the Void. Say hello, Andy.
Hello.
He is a modular, harsh. Is it fair to call you a harsh noise artist? Okay. He's a harsh noise artist. Playing tonight. So we're just gonna break down his patch a little bit, and I guess let's just jump in. The first thing I kind of want to do is I want you to kind of walk us through all the different sound sources. And kind of how you're playing them and how you perform them. One by one, let's go through all of your sound sources.
Okay, well, we've got the Exile Shard. It's a harsh noise power electronics source. In this case, for this patch, I am patching to a filter called the Spectral Devastator by Future Sound Systems, and I'm using the high pass side of it with a lot of resonance. I have
You get that like screeching, whiny, acidic sound.
Correct. It makes it sound like I'm torturing the sound. The other sound sources I have in here are, I have a Bengaline. In this patch, I'm using Triangle A and Triangle B into Mimeophone. And I am using the bandpass output to actually go into the shard. I do that because I like to sometimes sync up my different parts. I have it optional because I can bring it in and out to get the Bengaline through the shard.
Oh, so can we hear the shard through the filter, just the shard, and then I would love to hear it with the Bengaline as well.
Okay, hold on. Hold this.
So that's just the shard going through the filter. Oh, geez. When you get that filter cut off, it sounds really like bassy and drony. Oh, so what was that knob you just turned? Because it was like it was just like a little drum, but then you turned a knob, and then it got really gross. In a good way. Gross in a good way.
So that's the input. It's the input volume for the shard. So it's using the bandpass input. I'm allowing it in to get disrupted by the shard.
Oh, wait. So that's the input level for the Bengaline?
Yeah.
Going. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Okay. Cool. That sounds fantastic. So what is the Bengaline into the Mimeophone? What does that by itself sound like? So what are you doing? Because the Mimeophone, it's an effect module. So what are you doing on the Mimeophone to affect the Bengaline?
To affect the Bengaline?
Yeah, because you have the Bengaline going into the Mimeophone, right? Right?
It was phrased funny, sorry.
Oh.
So what I am doing is I am taking Sloth's outputs into the micro input. Oh, I'm sorry, the Tide's output into the micro input. I have the main output of a Hertz donut into the plus or minus voltage. And I have a Sloth's output into the zone that's at minus voltage. So anything that affects it will go negative.
Gotcha.
So I can affect, as you can see, it's affecting the zones right there. I also have...
So what exactly does that mean, affecting the zones?
In the mimeophone, they have a lot of different zones, and they're color-coded. It's the length of the delay. It's the length of the recording into the buffer.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting.
And then finally, I have one of my axes from my light plane going into my color so that it can adjust the darkness or brightness of the sound.
Oh, okay, cool.
And and I can do it at will with the light plane and change the dynamic.
Yeah. Okay, so you're performing the mimeophone with this this light, or this touch controller. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So you got the shard, you got the Bengaline, and then you got the Hertz donut as another sound source.
Correct.
Okay. So what's going on with the Hertz donut?
Okay. So the Hertz donut is already being affected by the bismuth, and it is it's a gate generator. So I have 3 outputs going into 3 CV parameters to make it stutter and glitch out. The main output is going into the Future Sound System's TG4 modulator to add some bite and some nastiness to it. That is then going into the Animal Factory Coma reactor, which is
What does that do?
it's a PT 2399 delay.
Okay. Lots of delays in this case.
Yeah, very much. And so when it hits that, I like this module because it has side chaining in it. So I am side chaining this path into an interstellar radio by Schlaupe Engineering, and that is self-patched to add more chaos. And the output's going into a dark matter distortion, which is then going back into the delay and out.
Oh, jeez. So what I'm hearing is there's lots of delay, lots of distortion, so your modulation's coming from the slots and the tides and the bismuth? How do you pronounce that?
Bismuth.
Bismuth. Okay, cool. And then so you said also the light strip, you had one of the CV outs going to the mimeophone, but I see there's a second CV out. So where's that going?
That's going into the atrophy of the shard.
So what does that mean?
The atrophy part of it is like a power starved circuit, and I can bring it up and down and just add dynamics or starve effect into it.
Oh, that's interesting. So when you say starve, you mean you're kind of just destroying the sound almost, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, it makes it scream a little bit more. It kind of makes it glitch and stutter and skip a little bit.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so it sounds like you just have 3 huge noise sources that have a lot of different modulation, a lot of different effects going on in it. So then how do you perform? Because obviously you're not just gonna let all 3 noise sources just go and just leave it. So how do you like perform and move things around to turn it just from noise into a full track that has dynamics and sections and all that good stuff?
Well, I use a lot of modules that I can do stuff at will, like the light plane. I can adjust 2 very powerful parameters at once, and I can decide how strong they both are. I can also record patterns into it whenever I want to add some sort of rhythmic, if you want to call it rhythmic, dynamic to it. I also choose modules like the dark matter has sliders, so I can bring it in and out very quickly.
Those are big sliders too.
Yeah, most definitely. I tend to choose things where when I do a module chain, I can do one change and it'll be drastic throughout, as opposed to a bunch of micro changes or anything. I just have key points in here that I can change at will, and then I can kind of chase what happens in real time.
Wow, okay, that's cool. So you didn't quite mention what's going on with the alter from Folk Tech. So what's going on with that?
So past the filter, the shard is going into the alter, and it is in a time stretch mode, just to add a little bit. I think of it as like disorientation in the patch. It's just kind of an odd off sound, and so I kind of am just using that as just an extra layer of dynamics, like mid-level in terms of sound.
Okay, wow. So it sounds like you have, even though this is like it's like harsh noise, wall of sound music, sounds like you have a lot of ways to like tame it and control it and manipulate it. But what I also like about this patch too is, it sounds huge, but there's really not a whole lot of patching going on. And so I think that's cool, that you're the kind of performer that instead of relying on a lot of modulation, you're kind of control everything yourself, which is pretty cool. Okay, so why don't you go ahead, just jam a little bit, just kind of, slowly bring in all the sound sources and just kind of play a little bit of your set, just so we can kind of hear what all that sounds like. Okay. All right.